You want to you want me to reflect on the state of our education. Oh, so many things are wrong, right from the foundational level of primary and secondary. And of course, what you have in primary, secondary is what you're going to have in a tertiary university. Tertiary level. That is the polytechnics, the colleges of education, and the university system. It's like what they say, garbage in, garbage out. If you know the foundation of secondary education, including primary education, but the ones that are more pronounced is at the level of secondary education, where communities were involved. Missionaries, the missions, especially the Christian missions, were heavily involved in setting up schools. Well, you could say that their own was not that altruistic. It was, it was, anchored on the principle of enlightened self-interest. They wanted people to understand the the message of our Lord Jesus Christ. And of course, I mean, when you are there, is they indoctrinate you to be Christians and you learn the Holy Scriptures. But the fact still remains that they also contributed substantially towards social evolution. The dynamics of our development is anchored on that. Of course, we had no option because we have been woven within the matrix of their developmental agenda. You needed to be in school to receive their formal education before you can be deemed to be a citizen and not just a subject. Unfortunately, they did it along the side that they also contributed to our other development. And I will explain that. You know, in those days, in primary school, even up to secondary school, our language was considered inferior. In fact, we didn't have a language, it was a vernacular. You were punished. You were punished for speaking in your native tongue. And you were made to speak in English. The English was the main vehicle of communication in schools. And that's a major step back to our science and technological advancement because you think first in your native language. You reflect first. You are able to express yourself, whether literally or in scientific terms, if you receive those lessons and then if you are taught in your native language. Hey, no, don't tell me how do people teach science, physics, chemistry, biology in I don't have to begin to explain that to you. I may not have the necessary know-how, but I should also ask you: the Chinese do not speak English as the native language and means of communication, whether culturally or in terms of their transmitting of knowledge. 3/4 of what you use, even the very phone in your hand, is made in China. We call it Chingo here. Russians do not speak English. Germans do not speak English. And the Asian countries do not even speak in English. So I ask you, how did they teach those subjects that led to their advancement in terms of science and technology? So please, there's no object that a society cannot have a language for, no concept And concept is the very basic idea that leads to so many development. I think it's just a hangover of our colonial mentality that everything that has to come in English. In fact, it's not even very ridiculous that we think that um, admission requirements are not complete if English language is not there at the credit level. That is to say, you must have shown your mastery of English before you can be deemed to have been a brilliant student. I mean, this is very, very ridiculous. Let's be very clear. Every language is an aspect of culture, so it has so many nuances. It's also a means of communication. If you, even as a Yoruba speaking person, I mean, there's so many aspects of Yoruba language that you're going to fail, but you can communicate with fellow Yoruba people. You know what? I mean, you can't ask me now to express so many proverbs and explain so many proverbs or the etymology of certain aspects of our cultural life. But I can effectively communicate in that beautiful language, and all is well. The same thing is English. It's also a means of communication and a cultural phenomenon. It's enough if a candidate is able to express himself in English language. I know we carry these requirements to a very ridiculous extent, to the extent that somebody who got A1 in physics, A1 in chemistry, A1 in biology, and other subjects. I mean, to make, even he could even have scored 8 subjects at distinction level at the West African School Certificate Examination, and if he has a P in English, we deny him admission to read mechanical engineering, geophysics, nuclear physics, chemistry, industrial chemistry, whether industrial chemistry or zoology. Isn't it ridiculous for us to deny such a candidate an admission? Because we may ask, in which language did he write those subjects that he excelled in English? I mean, that he excelled in them. He's not going to the university to study English as a subject. Yet, where you might say, oh, the foundation must be clear enough that you are very good in this language before you can now admit you for undergraduate classes, just having credit. But for somebody studying other subjects, philosophy, history, political science, and other subjects in the social sciences, I think it's sufficient enough to say he could express himself and pass the necessary to write the subjects both at WAEC or JAM level. So I think we need to think seriously on this type of requirements. We bring ourselves back. A lot of students have been frustrated because of these requirements that they now had to waste their time trying to pass English at credit level when they don't really need it. They could communicate. I mean, it's a second language. I mean, on a more serious note, sometimes one is frustrated thinking about our education and the way we run it. It's a total mess. Sometimes I think about whether we don't even need to declare a state of emergency and go and rethink what kind of education do we have. Today, the technical aspect of our education is destroyed so much that everybody now thinks that they have to be in the university to be considered good enough for society. Whereas many people are not conceptually wired, and that's what university education is all about. Some could work with their hands and their brain, and that's what our technical education should provide. If you're not good, they try to have it, but you can trust. Some people just needed to make money out of it. They call it SS1, just ESS 1 to 3. After that, they would be able to filter out the students whether they should proceed to the secondary school level where they could now teach maybe grammar schools or being able to be provided. The rest that is also ended in GSS 3 are provided with technical know-how. Yeah, many of those schools, I saw some of them in Lagos in the 83 upwards. I mean, they have so many workshops. I mean, where they buy those carpentry work, but forget it. No schools practice that again, except a few schools that could afford the what they call comprehensive education, where we have technical section, science section, and arts section. We need to think through what kind of education. But that of language is the most serious there. We're punishing ourselves unduly. Unduly. I mean, many nations are advancing without being being ambushed by this language question. So let's rethink. Let's take a look at this native tongue in order for us to be able to capture so many people in the net. Many people are there in the communities, in their societies. They are blessed with sound technical know-how, but we deny them the opportunity to be able to put to good use their native intelligence, the content, because they can't speak the language of civilization, which English is considered to be. So that's the issue. That's my thought on this language thing.